no one lasted a month. That was the silent rumor whispered in every office corridor, in every executive boardroom, in every whispered resignation letter signed with relief and exhaustion. The CEO of the massive empire, Damian Cortez, was brilliant but merciless, a man who had built his fortune through grit and intellect but who had allowed success to carve away the gentler edges of his soul. Assistants came and went like shadows, bright for a moment and then gone, unable to endure his impossible standards, his clipped commands, his sharp disapproval that cut deeper than any insult. People said he was cursed with loneliness, that his heart had been locked away behind the thick glass of his skyscraper office, untouchable, unreachable. But then, she came. She wasn't what anyone expected. Her name was Elena, a young woman with eyes that carried both storms and sunshine, the kind of gaze that could steady you in chaos and remind you that life was more than survival. She was hired almost by accident, a last-minute recommendation from a friend of a friend. She didn't have the immaculate resume others flaunted, nor the pristine accent of the elite schools Damian usually admired. Instead, she carried something that could not be written on paper: resilience. Elena walked into her first day with shoes slightly worn at the edges, a second-hand blazer, and a smile that seemed almost too kind for the cold marble lobby of Cortez Enterprises. Everyone thought she would break. Everyone whispered she would not last 2 weeks, let alone the mythical month. But from the beginning, there was something different about her approach. She didn't flinch when Damian barked impossible deadlines. She didn't tremble when he demanded perfection on the first attempt. Instead, she listened, not just to his words but to the silence in between, to the ache hidden in his pauses, to the loneliness disguised as anger. She worked hard, yes, but more importantly, she worked with heart. When Damian demanded a report by dawn, she delivered it with precision but also added a handwritten note: "For what it's worth, this data shows not just numbers but people's lives. Thought you might want to see that angle." It was such a small gesture, yet Damian stopped mid-sentence when he read it, a flicker of something human crossing his face before he shut it away again. Days turned into weeks. Damian tested her patience as he always did. But Elena surprised him. When he raised his voice, she did not cower, she met his sharpness with calm. When he dismissed ideas, she quietly brought them back later, reframed with thoughtfulness that made him pause. And when she noticed he often skipped meals, she began leaving small containers of homemade food on his desk, claiming the kitchen had extras. At first, he mocked it, asking if she thought he had time for sentimental distractions. But one night, long after everyone else had gone, Damian found himself opening the small tin of lentil soup she had left. He tasted it, and for the first time in years, he felt warmth spread through him that had nothing to do with business victories. Still, Damian fought it. He had built his empire on control, on keeping emotions locked away. But Elena was a storm he had not anticipated. Her kindness was not weakness, it was strength, unshakable and undeniable. When the company faced a scandal that threatened to ruin years of reputation, Damian prepared for battle the way he always did, alone, with sleepless nights and clenched fists. But Elena did not leave him to drown in silence. She stayed, researching through the night, making calls, reminding him of the human stories behind the crisis instead of just the profit losses. "You don't just lead a company," she told him softly, sliding a folder across the table. "You lead people. And people don't follow money, they follow meaning." Those words echoed in his mind like a bell he could not unhear.